for a really fun session with two young leaders who are both working to improve their cities. I'd like to welcome Oren Hazan, a member of the 20th Knesset and former deputy speaker of the Knesset, and Assaf Harel, a mayoral candidate for Tel Aviv Yaffo, both of whom will be interviewed by Tamar Uriel Berry, managing editor of jpost.com.
Hey, great. All right, well, I've got a bit of a celebrity panel here today.
Where?
Well, haven't found them yet, but I'll let you know. So, Oren, I gotta start with you. I mean, you're right after a win on the Israeli Big Brother. You got 500,000 shekels from that. Got quite a bit of attention while on screen.
It was $1 million. The country take half, my wife take the rest. So we're not gonna talk about it now, yeah?
So you got to question how much of a win it is, right. But do you feel that win alongside, the sum that went to everybody else, contributed in any way to your desire to maybe focus more on municipal matters?
It's a good question. First of all, hello everybody. We hope to wake you up. I think you had a long day. Hi Assaf. It's an honor to sit with you. I want to start with an apology, okay? I took some English courses from Betzalel. I hope to stand up for my English, okay? So, about your question. I was a member of the Israeli Knesset. From the first moment I get in, they didn't give me a chance. They went all over me, all over my wife, my family. They went back to the history and started inventing things. And actually they say we have a new cloud in the Knesset. A young guy, maybe a wild stallion, that if we will push him enough, he will break the government, he will break Benjamin Netanyahu. We will show the ugly faces of the right. It didn't work for them. But there was part of Israel that really believed the things that they say on news, really believed the stories. When I decided to go and take a part in the Big Brother show, it wasn't because I wanted to be famous. I think I'm famous, and I think so. Yeah? I had one famous selfie, maybe you
got Assaf's confirmation.
Yeah. So I decided to do it from two reasons. The first one, I really want people to know me. Because in the end of the day, you see your leaders by TV, online, and you see only a part that they show you. But if you will take a moment and be enough tolerant to listen to them and realize who stands in front of you, you can realize a new world. So this is why I went there, and it's worked for me. The second reason was, when I look on the future, and I look on kids today, I think Assaf will agree with me about this too. This is a new generation. If you want to speak with this generation, they go fast, they talk by beats, they work online. They don't have time. Maybe they don't have enough tolerance. So I think that if I want to lead the kids of today, tomorrow, I need to talk with them by them language. And them language calls through the Big Brother and TV shows like this.
And also includes some very famous selfies. At the
Trump insists, what can I do?
Oh, you're blaming the former president of the United States, not yours. But, well, I mean, your selfie went very, very viral, as did your one when the nation-state law was amended. But Assaf, I gotta turn to you real quick if we're talking already about celebrity moments, because you come from the industry of television. I say bichlal, I'm mixing Hebrew and English already. Your degree is in architecture, correct?
Yeah.
So how does all of this kind of lead you into municipal work?
Well, I think that I've been a writer for TV for almost 20 years, and eventually I think Oren will agree with me now that your part as a politician, some of it is telling a story, the story of our lives, and you need to tell a good story you want people to listen to, and in a way that's what you're doing on a TV show. You need to tell a story, you want people to connect to it and come next week to listen to it again. So eventually we're telling stories about Israel, stories about ourselves, stories about why we should be elected to save Israel or Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or Ariel, whatever. But it's all part of stories that we tell and will bring people to vote. And you know, the architecture studies help me when I sit in committees of building committees of Tel Aviv. It's really helpful when you know to read plans and you understand what's happening in terms of construction and infrastructure and so.
Assaf, tell her the truth. The first building you built collapsed.
It's a good way to start. Now you two are both allegedly, I'll add that word on a technicality, heading into more municipal work. Both of you, like I said, from different industries, and the two of you from very different political positions as well. You know, you come from the Likud, and you're more lined up with the current municipality that's happening in Tel Aviv. Actually, you know what else, Assaf, I'll start with you. What's kind of setting you apart from Ron Huldai and the current leaders in the Tel Aviv municipality?
Well, first of all, I'm a big fan of Huldai. He's a really good mayor, and everything I learned from him. Yet I see myself as an updated version.
2.0?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not a whole different set of values. Actually, I think it's more updated. That's the reason you upgrade your phone, because it wanted to be more accurate, more faster. And if you look at, I think, transportation, which is one of the big issues now in Tel Aviv, I don't have a car. I came here by train and then by the light train, and I drive bicycles, and in a way I think I understand and I live the true situation of Tel Aviv, and I'm ready to go to the next step of saying bye-bye to private cars, which I think Huldai is still in an old version. He's trying to keep everyone pleased, the bicycle riders and the walkers and the car owners, and you can't please everybody. That's why you have chaos on the sidewalks. And that can only be solved by saying bye-bye to private cars, which he's not able to say.
So very much focusing on infrastructure. I think that's really interesting, especially because of the public concern surrounding Tel Aviv lately. That is very much transportation focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Oren, I have to ask you kind of, would you be approaching the mayorship in Ariel? What would be your main focuses?
Before I answer your question, I want to say something about the things you said before. Last night we sit to a dinner with Governor DeSantis and the member of the board of the Tolerance Museum. And the governor and the member of the board asked me a question: how we can help you guys? What is our place in your story? And I said, I think your place in our life and the way that you can help us the most is to help us tell our story. We have a huge problem with Hasbara. We have a huge problem. The Jewish nation and the state of Israel have a huge problem of giving our story. It's not something that happened last night or last week. From the dawn of history, Jews tried to explain themselves. My grandfather, that came from Morocco, did all the way to Israel. He loved this land so much that he would walk in Kakal. He put trees in the ground and he went with suit. He told me something very special. He said, if you start to explain, you are in a problem. And if you cannot explain yourself and tell your story, the problem is even bigger. So I tell you guys, the guys that watch us and the guys can help us, we need to do it as united guys. You know, you're from the left side, I'm from the right side, but in the end of the day, we sit here together. If we will listen to each other and we show ourselves as united nation in front of the whole world, nobody can beat us. Our part in this life is to tell the Jewish nation's story, to tell the story of the land of Israel. This is our job, guys. So, second thing, about your question. Yeah, I was born and raised in Ariel. Actually, I was born in the hospital. If I will tell I'm born in Ariel, they say he lie, you know. They check us all the time. So I'm born and raised in Ariel. Ariel is the capital city of Shomron, Samaria. 35 kilometers exactly from the border of Jordan, another 35 kilometers exactly from the sea. I'm watching you. From my house I can see you, so close the curtain. I don't want to see nothing. When I see the story of Ariel, the place that I was born, raised, live, and I'm expecting to grow my kids, I see the key to the whole land of Israel. We need to build more. We need to say, this is our place, this is our land, this is the story of our nation. Walk here. And if we want to see strong Jerusalem, strong Tel Aviv, it's the same. You are not different state, one one nation, one flag. And if we want to see ourselves as a strong land, we need to make ourselves stronger in Jeddah, Shomria, all over. I'm invited you to come, I invite all of you, and if you can help us build Ariel, in the end of the day, you help us build Israel.
Right. So I mean,
just to add one sentence, I think I agree with most of what you said. Sometimes if you got a problem telling a certain story, it's not only about the publicity. Sometimes there are stories that are hard to tell. And I think our relationship with the Palestinians are being hard to tell because a lot of time we're hiding and we're ignoring and avoiding the story they are telling and the story the world is telling. And I think we need to confront the Palestinian story. We need, I'm not saying my opinion, but we need to realize they got a story. We need to understand it and then to reflect to it and to talk about the occupation. We might say, you might say, okay, I
promise without politics.
Yeah,
take me there.
I want you. No, what I'm saying, I'm talking in terms of stories. You might say, I don't see it as occupation, but we must reflect and talk about them and all the time and confront their story in order to tell our story. And we're trying to avoid it, and that's why we're losing.
You cannot close your eyes. I agree with you. They are here. We cannot avoid them. But we still, the moment we will find the way to fix the conflict between us, the rest is history.
You and me don't have a real conflict.
No,
we're looking for a good solution for both of us. We're not enemies. We you two, we two, we got a sense of humor, so it's easier. But even I don't see the right and left, and I put aside now the situation about democracy. But most of the time, the left and right are the same. They don't really have so much of a different story then, unless you regard the occupation of the Palestinians. And then we should reflect that story to talk about it. And but once you confront it and you'll tell it, I think we'll be there. We must stop ignore it, to reflect, and only if that's the only part we can do. I think
the only way.
That tells it.
The only you can applaud. It's okay. I don't agree with him, but he deserves it. He's a nice guy. So I think what declare the conflict not between us to those that call themselves Palestinians first, between us to ourselves. The thing that declare the conflict is the questions in which period of time the history started. If we will look on our history like she started at 48, when we declare independent, everything will look different. But if we will understand that our history, the Jewish nation, started with our father, Abraham, and we walk from back then up to today and look forward, we will beat everything. And everyone will stand beside us, even those that call themselves Palestinians.
And now because we're in Jerusalem,
I want to ask a question.
No, it's fine. You guys keep going. I don't need to do my job here.
I'm coming from Tel Aviv, and I think the main thing I love about Tel Aviv, in a way that it's got more present than history, that it lets you see, I think, the reality more clearer. In Jerusalem, sometimes with so much history, and sometimes you look so back, it's hard to see what's happening now. And that's, we have history.
The reflection of reality in Tel Aviv is a reflection of a situation of conflict. We were discussing before we talked at the panel that the Arab community in Tel Aviv and the Jewish community in Tel Aviv receive a big block between them when they turn 18, when the Jewish people go off to be soldiers in the IDF and the Arab people are left without any of the proper munition to head into the professional world, without any of the training that the Jewish people are receiving through what they're currently doing at that stage. So what is your solution for that?
So there is a project I initiated in Tel Aviv, which we called a municipal service. It's like, because if you look at the army service, we Israelis, we're Jewish, are doing, it gives us three major parts. It gives us a lot of times an occupation. You learn, of course, at 18 to 100 gives you an occupation, and also in other areas. It gives you connections, and The most important, it gives you...
Just one thing, a nation cannot occupy what belongs to her. The land of Israel belongs to the Jewish people. We can host everybody, we welcome everybody. If Arabs want to live next to us, close to us, they're more than welcome. If they want to live instead of us, I will not agree to this. Now you can continue.
I'll ignore it. So I think the army service gives Jewish Israelis the three items it gives you: an occupation, connections, and most important, you're feeling part of the state. You're giving something, and then you're receiving it back, and your identity is part of Israel. And for the Arabs, they don't have the connections, they don't have the occupation, and they are feeling apart from the state. So at 18 is a crucial moment. That's why what we initiated is a municipal service. At the age of 18, we offer a group of Arabs from Jaffa to be workers in a service in the municipality, and then getting back those three main items: the connection, the occupations, and of course being part of the city as part of your identity. And I hope that eventually, and you know, when it was the Likud before, the government before, I started to initiate it with the Likud, but because I think we all believe that the civilians here should be part, and I hope that it will turn to a wild, in all the country, a municipal service, where people, you know, even in Bakal Garbia, or in every state, you know, every state in a service for 2 years, work for 2 years in their community, in their municipality, to feel part of the place they're living in. It will only make them and our life, everybody's life, better, and will shorten the gap between us.
I want to help you, and I hope they will agree. And if we will find a way to give them an opportunity to volunteer as part of Israel, it will be better. But for this to happen, first, they need to find themselves in the story of the state of Israel.
Thank you both very much for joining us today. Good luck in the upcoming elections.
One last thing. I started with apology, and I want to end with apology. To see my face on this big screen, I'm not jealous at you guys. Thank you very much. Come visit us in Ariel.
Thank you.